Alright, so today we are going to be continuing with reading out loud meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And today we are on book 5, and without further ado, we shall begin the timer. And today we are going to read it for 15 minutes. And the timer starts now. Alrighty, let's do it. At break of day, when you're reluctant to get up, have this thought ready to mind. I'm getting up for a man's work. Do I still then resent it, if I'm going to do what I was born for, the purpose for which I was brought into this world? Or was I created to wrap myself in blankets and keep warm? But this is more pleasant. Were you then born for pleasure, all for feeling, not for action? Can you not see plants, birds, ants, spiders, bees, all doing their own work, each helping in their own way to order the world? And then you do not want to do the work of a human being. You do not hurry to the demands of your own nature. But one needs rest too. One does indeed, I agree. But nature has set limits to that too, just as it has to eating and drinking. And yet you go beyond these limits, beyond what you need, not in your actions, though not any longer. Here you stay below your capacity, your capability. The point is that you do not love yourself, otherwise you would love both your own nature and her purpose for you. Other men love their own pursuit and absorb themselves in its performance to the exclusion of bath and food. But you have less regard for your own nature than the smith has for his metalwork, the dancer for his dancing, the money grubber for his money, the exhibitionist for his little moment of fame. Yet these people, when impassioned, give up food and sleep for the promotion of their pursuits. And you think social action less important, less worthy of effort. How easy it is to drive away or obliterate from one's mind every impression which is troublesome or alien, and then to be immediately in perfect calm. Judge yourself entitled to any word or action which is in accord with nature, and do not let any subsequent criticism or persuasion from anyone talk you out of it. Know if it was a good thing to do or say. Do not revoke your entitlement. Those others are guided by their own minds and pursue their own impulses. Do not be distracted by any of this, but continue straight ahead, following your own nature and universal nature. These two have one and the same path. I travel on by nature's path until I fall and find rest, breathing my last into that air from which I draw my daily breath, and falling on that earth which gave my father his seed, my mother her blood, my nurse her milk, the earth which for so many years has fed and watered me day by day, the earth which bears my tread and all the ways in which I abuse her. They cannot admire you for intellect, granted, but there are so many other qualities of which you cannot say, but that is not the way I am made. So display those virtues which are wholly in your own power: integrity, dignity, hard work, self-denial, contentment, frugality, kindness, independence, simplicity, discretion, magnanimity. Do you not see how many virtues you can already display without any excuse of lack of talent or aptitude? And yet you are still content to lag behind. Or does the fact that you have no inborn talent oblige you to grumble, to scrimp, to today to blame your poor body, to suck up, to brag, to have your mind in such turmoil? No, by heaven. That was disgusting. That was a really, really loud yawn. No, by heaven, it does not. You could not. You could. You. You could have got rid of all this long ago, and only be charged, if charge there is, with being rather slow and dull of comprehension. And yet even this can be worked on, unless you ignore or welcome your stupidity. One sort of person, when he has done a kindness to another, is quick also to chalk up the return due to him. A second is not so quick in that way, but even so he privately thinks of the other as his debtor, and is well aware of what he has done. A third sort is in a way not even conscious of his action, but is like the vine which has produced grapes, and looks for nothing else once it has borne its own fruit. A horse that has raced, a dog that has tracked, a bee that has made honey, and a man that has done good. None of these knows what they have done, but they pass on to the next action. Just as the vine passes on to bear grapes again in due season, so you ought to be one of those who, in a sense, are unconscious of the good they do. Yes, he says, but this is precisely what one should be conscious of, because it defines the social being to be aware of his social action, and indeed to want his fellow to be aware of it also. True, but you misunderstand the point I am now making. And for that reason you will fall into one of the first categories I mentioned. They too are misled by some sort of plausible logic. But if you want to follow my meaning, don't fear. Don't fear that this will lead you to any deficiency of social action. A prayer for the Athenian people. Rain, rain, dear Zeus, rain on the cornfields and the plains of Athens. Prayer should be thus simple and open, or not at all. Just as it is commonly said that Asclepius has prescribed someone horse riding or cold baths, or walking barefoot, so that we say that the nature of the whole has prescribed him disease. disablement, loss, or any such affliction, or any other such affliction. In the first case, prescribed means something like this: ordered this course for this person as conducive to his health. In the second, the meaning is that what happens to each individual is somehow arranged to conduce to his destiny. We speak of the fitness of these happenings as Masons speak of the fit of squared stones in walls or pyramids when they join each other in the defined relation. In the whole of things, there is one harmony. And just as all material bodies combine to make the world one body, a harmonious whole, so all causes combine to make destiny one harmonious cause. Even quite unsophisticated people intuit what I mean. They say, fate brought this on him. Now if brought also prescribed, so let us accept these prescriptions, just as we accept those of Asclepius. Many of them too are harsh, but we welcome them in the hope of health. You should not take the same view of the process and completion of the design of universal nature as you do of your own health, and so welcome all that happens to you, even if it seems rather cruel, because its purpose leads to the health of the universe and the prosperity and the success of Zeus. He would not bring this on anyone if it did not also bring advantage to the whole. No more than any given natural principle beings anything inappropriate to what it governs. So there are two reasons why you should be content with your experience. One is that this has happened to you, was prescribed for you, and is related to you. A thread of destiny spun for you from the first by the most ancient causes. The second is that what comes to each individual is a determining part of the welfare, the perfection, and indeed the very coherence of that which governs the whole. Because a complete whole is maimed if you sever even the tiniest fraction of its connection and continuity. This is true of its constituent parts, and true likewise of its causes. And you do sever something to the extent that you can, whenever you fret at your lot. This is, in a sense, a destruction. Do not give up in disgust or impatience if you do not find action on the right principles consolidated into a habit in all that you do. No. If you have taken a fall, come back again and be glad if most of your actions are on the right side of humanity. And love what you return to. Do not come back to philosophy as schoolboy to tutor, but rather as a man with I will finish this paragraph. As a man with ophthalmia returns to his sponge and salve, or another to his poultice or lotion. In this way you will prove that obedience to reason is no great burden, but a source of relief. Remember too that philosophy wants only what your nature wants, whereas you were wanting something unnatural to you. Now what could be more agreeable than the needs of your own nature? This is the same way that pleasure trips us. But look and see whether there is not something more agreeable in magnanimity, generosity, simplicity, consideration, piety. And what is more agreeable than wisdom itself? When you reflect on the sure and constant flow of our faculty for application and understanding. Alright, this is the end of day 8, I suppose. Day 8 of reading out loud. Alright, see you guys tomorrow. Peace.